Welcome to another day of Pay Yourself Summit. I'm your host, Terry Ramsey, and today I have with us the great April Hiatt. April is the owner of WISE Women Mastermind, and they help out women entrepreneurs to scale their business through community. April, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Me too. So tell us a little bit, just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, where you came from, and how it kind of led to this new group that you're running.
Okay, yeah. So I had a website design and branding agency for 9 years, and it was perfect for me when I was a mom. I could do that when my kids were at school, and it was awesome, and I loved it. But then my kids grew up and they all moved out of the house, and my husband traveled, and it was just me in my office by myself. And I just wasn't getting the interaction that I needed. And I wasn't like, when when you have kids and you're going to the wrestling games or the baseball tournaments or whatever, you're sitting there with other moms and other people and you just chat and you get to know them and you have that interaction. And then when my kids all moved away, I didn't have any interaction with people other than just behind a screen, which was okay, but I just knew I was missing something. So I started looking in the community and just kind of around in general online spaces, just everywhere for a true peer-to-peer mastermind because I wasn't really looking for a coaching program, and they're awesome. I love those. They have their place. I'm in some myself, but I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for women that I could get feedback from, that I could run ideas by, that would be supportive, because sometimes we just have an idea and we're like, oh, I just got to verbally process or talk to somebody about it. And we talk to our husband or our friends, and they're like, yeah, that sounds good, like nothing, right? And you're like, ah. So I started looking for that and I couldn't find it. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to create this. Let's just see if anybody else wants it. And so I put it out there, and it sold out in a week. And then I thought, well, let me try another one. And I did it again and it sold out. And so I just honestly just grew that over the course of about a year. And it grew really, really fast. Like, so fast that I ended up closing my website design business because it's called Wise Women Masterminds. And it grew in 1 year to what it took me 9 years to build my
Wow.
website business. So I was like, well, that's kind of a no-brainer because I absolutely love doing this. And it's so fun. And I just get so energized by it that I'm going to do this full time and I'll just retire the other and let my clients go away. The nice thing is I made a lot of the mistakes in that business. And so when I started another one, I could bring that knowledge with me and go, oh, yeah, don't do that. And oh, yeah, I learned from that. So that's probably one of the reasons why it grew faster because I made all the mistakes over here. So that was awesome.
And I think that a lot of entrepreneurs out there kind of have a dream of maybe running a community someday, or maybe have
Mhm.
started, but have found a lot more blockades or challenges with growing their community. So it's really cool to hear that yours kind of organically took off from the
Yes.
beginning. Because if it didn't, who knows where you'd be today? Now you took an
Right.
opportunity and kind of ran with it and have really grown something awesome for a group of entrepreneurs. So what do you think it is behind, like, what's the power behind these groups of entrepreneurs coming together, in person or online, such as yours? What is the, because you mentioned before that you have, you are in some mastermind groups, but there's a difference between community and these mastermind groups that you pay into. So what is the power behind communities like the ones that you created?
Yeah, good question. So the oh my heavens, can I even speak today? Hello. I like, when your brain works faster than your mouth works. That's what's
Only
going on
they
in my
could work
brain. Like,
together. That'd be great.
yeah, if I could get those connected, that would be perfect. So the one thing about these is they're a community because they're peer-to-peer masterminds. So there's not just one person in charge. And the idea is that everybody comes in with their own area of expertise and what they're good at. And as we share that knowledge with others, then we really find ways to support each other because we're kind of invested in them as well as ourselves. And we're like, oh my gosh, I know Terry really well now because she's helped me and I've helped her. And we've talked about our businesses and we know each other really well. So if something comes up and somebody needs a bookkeeper, I know exactly who to call. Like, oh, I know Terry, she's my friend. Whether or not I've even worked with you in bookkeeping, I know you and I trust you. And that's what makes the difference. And that's the power in a community is as you get to know people, sometimes you'll work with them in your business, sometimes you won't. Like some people already have a bookkeeper, and maybe I'd be like, well, I'm already working with somebody, so I don't necessarily need Terry. But you know what? If I have a friend that needs somebody, now I'm going to say, hey, go talk to her. And so the power comes in knowing people in various industries, and as people come to you, you know kind of who to refer them to, and then with everybody doing that, it's like exponential. One of the reasons that the business has grown so quickly is not because I'm doing all of the work. It's that those that are part of the community love it so much that they tell all of their friends and then they tell all of their friends, and that's how it's grown exponentially, is from all of that. Now, I do some work, obviously, on my own, and I think later we'll talk a little bit about networking. But really, the power is in everybody else supporting each other and being willing to give referrals and collaborate and, talk to other people and just really be that support system of, if I have like a simple question, I know I can ask somebody. I don't have to, we don't work for free. Like, I don't want to give the impression that everybody is here working for free. We're all business owners. But sometimes I have like really a 10-second question. Like, hey, you know what? I'm doing my bookkeeping on QuickBooks, and I'm using you as an example, but
Yeah,
I'm doing my bookkeeping on QuickBooks and I'm taking workshops. Could you just tell me what category to stick that in? I
something
mean,
quick, you know?
something quick and simple, then it's easy. Now, if it was more complicated, then that's when you're like, hey, you know what, April, that's a pretty complicated question. How about we hop on a call and I'm happy to help you? And I get that. So I just want to clarify, I'm not saying we all work for free, but I am saying that there are ways that we can support each other and give value to each other and build that trust in lots of, I don't know, various ways.
Do you feel like the networking kind of groups that you're creating, does it feel like it's more collaborative while mastermind groups feels more like a teacher-led class where you're not going to be jumping in as much? What do you think is the big difference between the two?
So okay, so the word mastermind is used in the online space all kinds of different
Oh,
ways.
yes.
And and most people see it in relation to a coaching program. They'll say it's a coaching mastermind, or it's an accounting mastermind, or it's a living well mastermind. I'm just making stuff up. I have no idea. And those are coach led. So you go and they're tied to a coaching program, and there's one person that has all the answers, that's in charge. I mean, it's her program, right? It's an accounting program, and so you're going to know all the answers. A wise women mastermind that is a peer-to-peer mastermind is different because it's in the true sense of the from Napoleon Hill on the Get Rich, what anyway, his book. But it is the idea that everybody comes in with their own area of expertise, and then we all learn from each other. So there's smaller groups of, say, like there's a marketing person and there's a website person and there's a business strategist and there's an accounting person, and sometimes there's a life coach and a speaker all in a group. And when I ask a question about something, I can get feedback from various experts, and they're all going to tell me their opinion. And that's going to help me because now I've got information and perspective from 9 different people instead of just one person who's the expert. So everybody is an expert in their respective field. And then we all get to learn from each other. And now we all rise together. Like we're all supporting each other. We're all learning together. We're all sharing knowledge. Kind of like back in, if anybody was in study groups in
Mm,
college,
yeah.
where you'd have like you're studying for a test and you divide out, okay, you learn this and then teach it to us, and you learn this and teach it to us, and you learn this. So not everybody has to know everything, but instead you've got a group of people, some will say like your own board of directors, that everybody knows a different thing. And then we can kind of pool that knowledge and all rise together.
I love that comparison there to study groups too. It's also like a if you get into a group of people that are also like, we all have no idea. Like we're gonna figure it
Right?
out together and come up with something. So um and I think that it's amazing too to think about that because as entrepreneurs, especially the solopreneurs or the ones with very small teams or maybe like a VA supporting them, you have to wear so many hats as an
Oh, yeah.
entrepreneur. And you were not, there's no way
No
possible
way.
to know all the
No.
information that you need to know to run, your marketing plan fully or this software fully or know the best route to handle your finances. Like there's just so much out there to learn and so much that's changing that it's almost
Right.
impossible to be that person that wears all that hats. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd
And so
you'd go crazy trying to learn all of it. You just can't.
having that resource is the biggest piece. And also you could show up in using me as an example there as the bookkeeper. I could
Mhm.
show up as the expert of the bookkeeper in that group too and kind of have
Yes.
authority whenever it comes to my topic instead of trying to be the master of all. Um,
Correct.
so
Yes.
the idea of networking, let's jump there. Networking
Yeah.
is such a loaded word these days, and
Yes,
it
it
can mean
is.
so many different things while at the same time people think very narrowly about what networking actually means and what it could look like. So, what are some of the ways that you tell your entrepreneurs that you work with and deal with about how they can network and get out there to share their business to help with marketing and growth efforts?
Yeah. So I at first it's so funny because I don't like the traditional networking that people think about. For example, when somebody says, I'm having a networking event, come bring your stack of business cards. And then you walk into the room and they go, okay, network. And you got to work the room. Oh my gosh, I'd rather have a root canal. I just cannot. It is like not my thing. And it's so awkward. Like, for everybody except the extroverts that love it. And that's just not me. And that is so hard to do. So I would rather network with where I actually get to know people. So what I will do and so my recommendation is to do like whatever feels good to you. There are lots of online spaces, lots of online kind of networking things. I really recommend local in-person stuff if at all possible. If you can attend events, those are always really good. Like 2-day events are really good because you'll really get to know people. And I always look for events that are about 50 people. I don't like the huge rooms that are like 500 people because I'm never gonna like get to know them. It's just hard. There's just too many people. So I'm looking for small things. And here's what I'm doing when I'm attending those. The first thing is I'm not trying to get to know more than about 2 to 5 people. My brain just cannot get to know that many people. So I'm just going to go in and I'm thinking, if I meet 2 people today and get to know them really well, that's perfect. And then I always go with an intention. Like I'm not going to just go and show up and hope things work out. I'm going to go with an intention like, hey, you know what? In my business, I really need a Facebook ads person. So I'm going to kind of go with the idea that maybe I'll meet a Facebook ads person, or I'm really looking for somebody to help me, strategize or use AI tools or, just streamline my business. So I'm going to go looking for that person. I just kind of keep that in the back of my mind as I go in. Then the next thing that I do when I walk into a room is I actually kind of scan the room first and I look for the person standing by herself.
Mm.
I also, and I say herself because I focus on women. My business is called WISE Women. I work with women entrepreneurs. I'm a huge proponent of supporting women businesses. So when I attend events that are going to be mostly women. If not 100% women, like 80% women, like that's where I want to be. It doesn't do me any good to walk into a room of 100 men that's just awkward for me. Anyway. So I walk in the room and honestly, I scan the room and I look for the person standing by herself, sitting by herself, kind of, or even the person that's looking a little awkward, or the person, sometimes there'll be a group of like 3 people or maybe 5 people. The odd number groups are the best ones because there's usually one person that's kind of like just standing there and they're like looking around, and you can tell they're feeling awkward while they're standing there. And so I will go talk to that person. And I'll say it's not easy for me. Like I have nerves just like everybody else does. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. But I just force myself to do it. So I will just walk up to to that person and just say, hey, I'm April. How are you? I mean, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just introduce yourself. And then I listen to the person. Like, you never want to go sell at a networking event, as weird as that sounds, but nobody likes to be sold to. As soon as you start selling, there's like a wall that comes up and everybody shuts down. So just never go to an event thinking you're going to sell anything. Just don't sell. But when you go talk to that person, listen to that person, ask questions like, hi, Terry, I'm April. Tell me a little bit about you. And we're going to talk. And then I'm going to look for things that we have in common. So, if you tell me about you and, you tell me you have bookkeeping, but you also tell me you have a 3-year-old daughter or something, I'm going to be like, oh, that is so awesome. Tell me about your daughter. Okay, we're moms. You can ask any mom to tell you about their kids, and you never have to speak again
I've
because
got
they're going to
I've
tell
got
you
nothing to
everything.
say, nothing to say at all.
Right? Yeah, that's right. Or grandmas. If anybody's a grandma in the room, oh my gosh, because you can say, "Oh, tell me about your grandkids." And no kidding, in about 10 seconds, the phone's going to come out. They're going to have all the pictures because us grandmas are very proud. We're
And
very
and
proud
and for
grandmas.
those that
Like,
don't have kids, do the same thing with their dogs or cats because it's the
yes,
exact same thing.
yes, absolutely. Yes. If they start talking about animals and dogs, people, oh, wow, yes. Like, we love our pets. So yeah, so find something in common to talk to them about. And then the other thing that I like to do this myself and I like to look for it in other people, but I will typically wear something that's memorable or that stands out from everybody else. So I'm either going to wear like a branded shirt or like and by branded I just mean like in my brand colors. My brand colors are purple and
Mhm.
like I have all the shades of purple. So anytime you see me anywhere, you're going to see me in purple. I also have like a very bright, like a violet kind of purpley color. And when I go places I haven't been before, I actually wear that color. It gives me confidence as I walk in the room. I also have a necklace that's very unique. Not this one, but I should wear it today now that I'm saying that. But I have a necklace that's unique, and people will always ask me about that. And so when you're talking to people, look for things that are unique to them. Tattoos are huge. If somebody has a tattoo and you can see it, there's always a story behind that. I mean, nobody gets a tattoo without a story. There's always a story. And I love hearing them. Quite frankly, they are
Yeah.
so interesting. You can learn so much about people from that. So that's how I network. And then the last tip that I have is to take notes. Like when you're there, connect with the person either online. You can get their business card if you want. Sometimes people have like the digital business cards, or you'll take their information and put it in your phone. But then write it down, write something down. So if I get a business card from you, for example, I'm as soon as you're not looking, I am going to actually, and sometimes even if you are looking, like if you're standing right there, I'll just be
Yeah.
like, hey, you know what? I'm going to write down some notes about you. And I will write it right on the card so that the next time I talk to you, I remember that you have a 3-year-old daughter, or that you have a beautiful dog, or that you're a grandma of 2. I'm also going to remember your business, but those other pieces help me remember who you are. And that helps me also remember what you do and your business and stuff like that. If I take your contact on my phone, I'm going to put Terry Ramsey. And then in the notes, I'm going to put met her ad, and I'm going to list like where I met you and then what you do. So I'm going to, put down there bookkeeper, met her online, some notes. so that down the road, I know like who you are. And then if I'm connecting with you on social media, like for example, Facebook, I'm going to connect with you there. And then I'm going to send you a message. Hey, Terry, it was so good to meet you at XYZ networking event or, the Wise Women Conference or whatever it is. So good to, meet you and learn more about your bookkeeping business. So now I know I have written down somewhere so that you and I both remember. So you don't get a message from me and go, who is that person again? Like, April, who is that? Like, where you met me and I know you. And you know what I mean? It just helps us all remember. Taking notes is huge, but a lot of people forget to do that part.
Because it's so busy with networking events all the entire event sometimes. So you're just jumping from one person to the next and collecting cards. And it's solid advice there, like kind of keeping things together and connecting the person with the business card. Really great. I also love the idea that you are coming into the networking event going, what do I want to gain from meeting people? What information am I looking for? Because, like you said, nobody likes to be sold to. So, if you
Mm-mm.
actually want to go out there and gain, that's a great way of doing
Right.
it. And it's kind of what you're doing with your mastermind groups is that collaboration of, if I need to reach out to a certain person or I'm looking for a certain help, I have that community. And you could do the same thing with networking events, which is super powerful.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and so we spoke before, and you talked about being a fan of Dan Sullivan's book, Who Not How, which I think
Yes.
kind of ties really in depth to what we're talking about now whenever it comes to connecting with people. I understand that you like the book, but you also have a different take on it. So can you explain to our audience the premise of the book and then what you think about it?
Yeah, you bet. So the book is about what we talked a little bit about earlier. It's you don't have to know everything. And if you want to grow your business, you need to find other people to help you. So if I am not good at my books, that is something that absolutely has to be done. We all have to pay taxes. We all have to track that stuff. And if we don't want to give the government more money, we need to find other people that can do that for us. So the premise is that we're going to find other people in other areas that we are not experts in to help us in those areas. And then my take on it is that's awesome. And I absolutely agree with that. I think we need to find what they call who's in our business, people to help us do things. But not everybody knows how to do that. So and what we talked about with the networking is I talk a lot about how to find your who.
Hmm.
So we know we need who's, but how do we find those people? And that's where the networking and the masterminds and the going to summits, listening to summits, like all of this comes into play. We want to find those people.
Awesome. So with with that being said, like it's hard sometimes to find those who's. We can network and we can go about things, but it's a balance and such
Yeah.
a delicate dance for entrepreneurs to do sometimes because it is a field where they're being sold to sometimes.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about like the difficulty of being a solo entrepreneur and needing this kind of help or needing answers or just wearing too many hats and not having enough time. Deciding that next step when scaling your business is often a very challenging one for entrepreneurs. Um, you need to determine like, do you use your network or mastermind group to ask those questions so that you can learn and start to do it yourself? Do you make that purchase? Do you actually buy the services from that business to go ahead and help you to do it and detach from it completely? The other step is, do you hire somebody within and start to grow your team? So, what do you have to say about those entrepreneurs who are struggling with their growth of which one of these pathways they should take and how they know it's the correct one for them?
Yeah. Very good question. And I think, first, let me just say, I do think it's different for everybody. And I think innately, you have to go with your gut. Like you really have to go with your gut. However, that being said, if there is something you're trying to do and it frustrates the crap out of you, and you are spending hours and hours and hours doing it, that's when you want to hire it out. Because honestly, you have to think about it. And I'm betting that somebody else is going to talk about this, since we're talking about profit first and growing your business. So I'm betting somebody else will. But if I charge, I'm just going to use even numbers. If I charge $100 an hour and I spend 12 hours working on something, say my books, I just lost $1,200. Whereas I maybe could have paid you $500. I have no idea what you charge. People don't take that, but whatever. But you know what I mean? I'm like, sometimes you got to do the math and you got to just say, okay, how much money am I losing by trying to figure this thing out when really it would be better if I just hired somebody else to do it for me? On the flip side of that, sometimes there are things that we hire out for because we don't want to do them or we don't know how. But if we learned a little bit, it really wouldn't take us too long to do. And I also think that it's incredibly important to understand exactly what you're hiring somebody for and what you want them to do. And I say that because I've lost a lot of money hiring people when I didn't even know what I was hiring them for. I was
Ah,
like, yeah, I need a social media person. And so I hire somebody who says, I'm a social media manager. And I was like, sure, here you go, just do the thing. But there wasn't a strategy behind it. And I honestly didn't even know what I was hiring them for. And they just did their thing. And I was expecting one result and I got not the result I wanted. But mostly it was on me because I didn't understand what I needed. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't know what I was hiring them for. And I didn't have clear expectations of what the result was going to be. And I didn't know enough about it to make a good hire.
mm,
Like, I do think that, at least for me, before I hire somebody, I want to at least learn a little bit so that I know. So, like, I'll use bookkeeping, but I want to at least know why I need my books, caught up, what's important, what things I need to be tracking, rather than just hiring, hi, be my bookkeeper, and just expect you to read my mind and know what I'm doing over here in my business. Like, I at least need to know some basic stuff so that when I'm looking for somebody to hire, I can ask the right questions because I know what I need. So I think as a business owner, you have to do a little bit of research first and know what you're looking for. Then you got to like look at it and be like, okay, if this is taking me 100 hours and bookkeeping has to be done right or you're going to lose thousands of dollars in taxes, yeah, by all means, I am hiring that sucker out because that is not my area of expertise. But little things like maybe making graphics. I was a website designer for 9 years. I can make graphics in Canva. I don't need to hire that out unless I get to the point that I'm spending hours on it, but I'm not. So that's probably not something I'm going to hire out because it's something I can do. And really, it takes me 15 minutes. It'll save me money.
mm.
So for me, I just have to look at the numbers,
Okay.
which again, I'm sure you're going to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I love that too because it's you don't get to shy and run away from not learning and understanding what it takes to run a business. You are in charge of learning exactly what goes into each part of your business and why it's important. And
Yeah.
you just speaking on that, I had an aha moment of like, oh, it'd be so much easier if every single entrepreneur that came to me for bookkeeping knew what bookkeeping actually entailed. Some of them
Yeah.
think that it's a lot easier than what it is, and then therefore
Oh,
they're
yeah.
not really understanding the worth or the job that goes into it.
Hmm.
Not to say that like what I do is like so, but like
No, but it's harder.
it
Yeah.
allows them to understand the worth of
Yes.
paying out for that service, which is also just good for any entrepreneur. Think about what your business is. If people understood the work that went into your business, then they would also work with you a little bit differently too. So I think as entrepreneurs, it is our job to learn, at least at a baseline, what each of these jobs do entail or a bigger idea of them, and then decide from there, is it worth our time to
Hmm.
do the skill, to perform the work? or should we hire out? And then also helping us to understand the value of that too. Because I think your math of, hey, if I could pick up other clients for this time that I'm spending
Hmm.
on this, or I could spend the time on it. Maybe whenever you're just beginning and you don't have that many clients, maybe you do want to try to like put that together and maybe you will get faster and more efficient at what you're
Right.
doing and it's not that big of a deal in the end. So I love
Yep.
that balance of just finding out what is going to work for you and your time and how you value each hour of the day.
Oh, yeah.
Work that you
Well,
do.
you know what's interesting is when I ran my website business, I had website templates and a whole like DIY package for sale. So you could hire me to customize and do all the things, or you could just buy the template and DIY it. About honestly, 75% of the people that bought the DIY package would buy it. And I had videos step by step, all the things. They would get started, they would do the stuff, and then they would call me and go, just kidding, April. You know what? Well, you just do it. Like, this is harder than I thought it was going to be. But they didn't realize that till they got into it. And then they were like, oh, okay, I see why you charge what you do. Because in the beginning, they just looked at the price and they went, okay, there's this price for DIY and there's this price for custom. And there's a big difference in price. And then they went, okay, now I understand why the price is different. Now I'm willing to pay for it because you can go do that over there and I'll spend my time doing this stuff over here and not worry about, I'll run my business. You do that and I will happily pay you the money. And those
Isn't
were some
that
of my best clients.
Isn't that amazing though that like whenever we also think about pricing sometimes that we are like, oh, well, it's only gonna take me 2 hours to get this done because I'm really fast at it. You actually price for the value of what you're saving them. And
Yes.
that is what they kind of had that aha moment of like, oh my God, it's worth so much more than this. Pay you
Yes.
because it's gonna save me that time. So I think it's fun to kind of reverse engineer that of how much you're saving
Mhm.
that other person whenever it comes to your prices too, which is great.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
so tell me why do you think support from a community of entrepreneurs is so important?
The biggest reason it's important, I think, is because as much as we've been running our businesses and we're experts in our field and we love what we do and we're doing all the things, I think we all have moments that we struggle. And we all have moments, especially when we're trying something new, that we're like, "Ah, I don't know if this is going to work out." And we can feel that imposter syndrome. I just think everybody has that, whether we want to admit it or not. We all have that. We could have been in business 20 years and we all have moments like that. And the power in having a community and I don't want to say a support group, but kind of like a support group behind you is those people will believe in you even in the moments you don't believe in yourself. They're going to remind you how good you are and how much you know and how far you've come. And when you're with them for a long period of time, they will see growth that you aren't necessarily seeing. And then they can point that out to you and help build your confidence and just really build you up in the times that you're like, I don't know if this is going to work or whatever. And they're going to have that belief in you, even in the times that you don't have it. And that's the power that we all need as entrepreneurs.
We all need that pick me up because I like imposter syndrome. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing something, it's always going to creep in. And I think that that's great just to have that supportive track behind you, even if you need to vent for a second.
Right.
It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. Sometimes that's all we need to do is scream. Um, and sometimes doing that with our significant others, they just go, "No, you got this," without the little good pieces of advice of been there, done that. So I think it's
Mhm.
really great to see that you could find that whenever it comes to like-minded entrepreneurs coming together.
Right. Well,
So,
and
yeah, go
also,
ahead.
I'm just going to add just to what you just said, but there's power in talking to people that get it, that get it. Because if you've not been in the entrepreneur space, you don't quite get it. Like, a person that goes into work from 9 to 5 and is on a salary and has always been in that space. I've been in that space. I know what that's like. And then I started my own business and I was like, "Oh wow, this is up and down and this is like hard. And some days I'm working more hours than I did in my 9 to 5 that I quit to work less hours. But unless you've been there, you don't quite get that. And if you're talking to people, family members or whatever, they try to be supportive, but you can tell they don't get it. Like there's just sometimes you just got to talk to somebody that gets it, that really hears you, and then you can just feel validated. You don't even need them to fix anything. You just need to know that they understand and feel validated in how you're feeling and be like, okay, thanks. I just needed to get that out and know somebody else understands and I'm good.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the idea of like sometimes you don't need the word of encouragement. Sometimes you just need someone to sit next to you and say, "Well, that sucks." Yeah, been there. Done that. And
Yep.
that's all you need to
Yeah.
go forward. So,
Right.
beautiful. So, April, that was fantastic. I think there's such good nuggets of knowledge and things to walk away, especially with like networking and community and finding your next step of how you're going to grow and what to learn and where to go to for resources. But I understand that you also are offering up something for our audience today. Can you tell them a little bit about that?
Yes. So I have a freebie. It's a little video mini series that just goes through ways to help you be seen, be known. It's called Be Seen, Be Known, Be Connected. And it's a little visibility mini series that I just give you some easy tips and tricks on ways to be seen online, ways to be seen, like we talked about, at networking events, and really ways to be remembered. Because at the end of the day, it's awesome that we all know other people and we want to refer other people out, but you want to be on the receiving end of that. You want people to know who you are too. Like sometimes I say networking is, people always say networking is who you know. Well, networking is really who knows you. You want people to know you. So it's a little mini series that I do on helping people get to know you and helping you be remembered both in the online space and in person.
Thank you so much. That's going to be gold to go through. And it's just like your little tips and tricks of just like think about the colors that you wear. I'm so excited to be watching that and to learn alongside you. April, thank you so much for being here and sharing with our audience. You could find April's contact information on the page that you found this video, along with her freebie. And as a reminder, this video is going to be up for the next 48 hours. So watch and rewatch it. But if you want to hold on to it for watching for the longevity or maybe revisiting this in the future, make sure that you do upgrade to VIP, which is never late to do. And then also make sure that you are visiting April's pages, following her and checking out that networking group and seeing if it could be something that is the right fit for you. April, thank you so much for being here
Thank
today.
you.